Something special.
Hi friends, welcome back or welcome to Friends in High Places podcast. Cole is back on the pod with me.
Yeah, we out here, baby. You know what time it is.
And yeah, I thought it would be cool to have him back on. It's been a hot minute since he was on the pod and chilling and chatting.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I feel like a lot has happened. There's been a few episodes since I've been on here last, but I feel like it'll be a shorter episode, but we definitely have some stuff to talk about for sure.
Yeah, this one's just going to be a quick one. The next couple weeks, I have some big announcements coming, some changes and stuff, doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys. Just need a little bit more time to prepare and get everything organized so I can make the announcements. So I thought this week we'd just do a quick one, Cole and I, and yeah, just catch you guys up on what's been happening in our life.
Not to mention, I just threw Carissa a major life curveball where now she has to dedicate all her time into this new kitty that we got. So
Cole surprised me with a brand new little baby kitten, and she is the most precious little angel ever. And I won't lie, I cried, and he's very true with the life curveball because, as you all know, we have 2 other cats. So this is a big step right now because I have been very nervous about getting another cat. Cole has kind of teased me with it a few times. And yeah, it's been...
It was one of those things where it's like we both knew that we wanted another kitty, but it was one of those things where it's like if I don't go and make that decision for us, then it might not ever happen. You know what I'm saying? So here we are with a brand new kitty. But anyway, it was super funny. She was visiting some family about an hour away, and I was just scrambling to get all this stuff done. I had my mom here with me, and she was helping me out. So we ordered this brand new bed frame because we were talking about getting a new bed frame. So originally the idea was just to surprise her with that. And so I had this whole bed frame set up, and then she came home and I said, "Hey, come upstairs. I want to show you something." And of course she's like, "What do you mean? You're giving me anxiety." She walks in, she sees the bed frame. She freaks out thinking, "Oh my God, brand new bed and bed frame," which is obviously awesome. But under the covers was a little kitty, and we have to refer to her as Kitty because we still don't have a name for her yet. But with that being said, she just came crawling out from under the covers, and Carissa just started bawling her eyes out. And then she walked up and she goes, "What's her name? Is it a boy or a girl?" I said, "It's a girl." And then she walked up and literally the second she saw Carissa, walked right up to her and gave her a kiss. So it was the cutest thing ever. But anyway, with all that being said, we got a new kitty, so that's obviously preoccupying us. And because, like she said, we have 2 other ones, I have to stay in the room with the baby, and then she has to be in the other room with the other 2 because they need all the attention. And that's pretty much been our life for the past 48 hours. So
yeah, it's been pretty crazy, and like Cole said, we don't have a name for her yet, so we call her Baby. So she's getting very attached to that name. So we're trying to figure out a name here really quick. Actually, it's mainly me.
We got a couple on the roster though, for sure.
Yeah, I'm the one that's very indecisive over it because she, oh my gosh, you guys, she is just the most beautiful little princess.
I'm sure we'll post a pic of her soon online and stuff.
Oh yeah, we definitely will. Probably promoting this episode, to be honest, because she's our new little baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was an amazing surprise. Like Cole said, we're doing the kitten training, so I'm staying with the oldest girls because they're very attached to me. So I don't want them to have any jealousy against her. Plus our oldest is 6. Our youngest is 4, so they are full adult cats, and she is just this tiny little peach that I'm a little bit nervous about getting them physically introduced right now. So we're just taking the baby steps. Cole is taking the bedtime routine while I sleep with the other 2 girls so they don't feel any type of way. And yeah.
We have this one room in our house too that has a glass door, so what we're gonna it's see-through glass door. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna intro them more and more that way, so they can see each other through the glass door, be aware that they're both there, and kind of eventually be in a point where we can put them in the same room. But that's not going to happen tomorrow or the next day, kind of thing. But at least that way they can see each other and get used to seeing each other visually. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
Let's be honest, it's it's literally like having an actual baby here almost. We're literally recording this episode in bed. We're sitting in bed right now with the whole podcast set up. You can hear the covers and everything. It's hilarious.
Yeah, we're in because we're in the room that she's staying in. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been hanging out in the house with the other girls and then popping in the bedroom so I can spend some time with baby and Cole and have some bonding time with her. But one of us always has to be in here with her because she's just a baby. She can't be locked up in a room by herself because that's not fair and that's not a good experience. She had some big life changes happen to her, being taken away from her mama and her siblings and her first humans. So yeah, but she is adjusting really good, it seems. She seems pretty happy, and I'm just a coddling, overprotective fur mama.
We're crazy cat people. That's just
exactly. That's what I was going to say. You know, we have 2 cats. Once you hit over 2, does that make you a
pretty sure
crazy cat?
Classified. You can probably hear her eating her hard food in the background right now.
Yeah, she's having a little snack. It's almost supper time.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the newest things going on in our life. But
yeah.
I feel like as far as the podcast goes, just me, because like obviously I'm on here as a guest a lot, but also I'm a listener as well. So I feel like the last episodes that you put out have got really good feedback, especially the one that you did with your mom, just about being a teen mom and stuff like that. I noticed that there's a lot of really positive comments and stuff, and people saying that have gone through that experience, that it really helped them, or people that are in that experience now. So I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
As a takeaway from the recent episodes you guys have put out. The one with Tommy was hilarious. You guys just flailed the whole time, but I loved it.
Yeah, we got a little hyper after recording that one. It was good.
It just shows how like why you and Tommy are so close. You know what I mean?
Well, and her boyfriend Pat are going to be coming and visiting us for our birthday, because mine and Tommy's birthday week is next week. So they are using some of their summer vacation time to come and spend our birthdays together.
Yeah, so that's going to be awesome. I haven't personally seen Pat in forever, so super excited about that. I mean, obviously Tommy as well, but Pat especially.
Yeah. And I guess because Tommy came down for our birthday last year.
Yeah.
But
still, that's a whole year.
I know,
How crazy
right?
is that?
It's so crazy. One thing I'm really excited about is her and I are going to do some in-person recording. So I'm really excited about that. I think you guys will really enjoy it because, you know, just us being in each other's energy and in person, like you already know mine and Tommy's friendship, but I think that will really show like our friendship.
The chemistry in person for sure.
Exactly. And it'll just be fun because like I even feel when you and I do recording opposed to when I do recording with like my mom, Tommy, Lacey over the phone, it's just so different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, so yeah, I'm really excited about it. So stay tuned because the next time you hear me and Tommy together, it will be in person recording. So I'm excited.
For sure. I also thought that we should talk about the fact that I'm finally, I guess you could say, fully vaccinated. So
yeah,
I got my second one. Like I said, I know it's controversial for some people. I'm not trying to have a bunch of comments like, oh, anti-vax or pro-vax or whatever. But obviously, when it comes to my career, I have to be vaccinated to be able to travel and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I'm finally fully vaccinated. The second one, I definitely felt more symptoms than I did in the first one.
Yeah.
I got like a little drowsy and got like a bit of a headache and my arm hurt for a bit or whatever. But it feels good to say that I like finally am fully vaccinated and ready to like take that leap whenever the world does go back to normal. So that's a positive thing. I'm not going to sit here and lie like there wasn't any side effects, because there was, but I'm over it now and I feel a lot better. So
yeah, and it's good. You know, you didn't get the crazy after symptoms like, you know, a lot of people do, especially if you've already had if you've had COVID. I've heard the symptoms can be really bad.
I'm just such a naturally anxious person that I'm like, oh my God, I heard it gives people blood clots, and I heard that it does this and that. So,
well, I mean, which is true.
Yeah, and I was blessed enough to get Pfizer, which they say is the best one or whatever.
Yeah.
But like just being a naturally anxious person, I'm just like, every scenario in my head, you know what I mean? Yeah. And even if I'm like not feeling a bunch of symptoms, I'm still going to tell myself that I am, because that's just who I am as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as much as talking about the vaccine can be a controversial thing, I myself have not been vaccinated yet. And so that just kind of shows that you and I are not like, you have to go get vaccinated or anti-vaccine.
Exactly.
It's just it's a
not
personal
like
choice.
It's not like I'm telling everybody I got vaxxed with the intent of telling people like, you should too. Like,
exactly.
Honestly, it's one of those things where it's like super, what's the word I'm looking for? subjective almost, if that makes sense. Like it's one of those things where it's like whatever your opinion is, it is what it is. I'm not here to argue with you. If you want to get it, you can get it. If you don't, you don't. Whatever.
Yeah, because it's a personal choice, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's what it is. And with you, like you said, it's mainly because of your career. You travel for your career, so when traveling can be a thing again, it's probably going to be that you have to be vaccinated to
like
travel.
a vaccine passport or whatever, which is so weird and crazy to think about. Like it feels like we're in like the Matrix right now or some shit. But but no, like I said, it is what it is, and I'm not here to push it on anybody or have some preference where it's like I'm trying to sway people, because I've watched people online like literally like people like lose relationships that they've had their whole life over opinions on COVID and just like conspiracy theories and like vaccinations, anti-vax, pro-vax, whatever. And it's like, I'm just not trying to like be that person that's so passionate about something like this that it's gonna like ruin relationships. You know what I mean? It's been hard enough for everybody being stuck inside for over a year and having to adjust their lives, and people that own small businesses having to go broke and find different ways to have income and stuff like that, that it's like I don't have time to argue with people over whatever their opinion is. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't even really voice mine.
Well, and at the end of the day, you're just sharing it to kind of share your experience. So anybody listening,
experience is one thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so anybody listening who maybe hasn't gotten it yet and is a little bit nervous or on the fence about it, they'll hear your experience and be like, oh, okay, well, I've heard this from quite a few people, so maybe I do feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's good. It's good that you have it done now for future work purposes, and
for sure,
didn't kick your ass, which is good.
I try not to talk too much about myself on here, but speaking of vaccinations and travel and things going back to normal and work, we're definitely in the midst of like booking tours again, which is so crazy. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, we're booking these tours and when the time comes, it's not going to happen and there's going to be another big outbreak. But I mean, let's be realistic. You never know what could happen. Yeah. Am I stoked on the idea of going back on tour? Yes. Is it going to take a lot out of me to get ready for tour? For sure. Like I've said this on the pod before, like I've had like literal nightmares where I'm walking on stage and I forget all my lyrics. Like I'm going to have to like rent a rehearsal space and really start from scratch, especially considering how much music we've put out during quarantine and COVID in general that I need to learn to perform and restructure like an entire set. But yeah, just so everybody that's been asking me that is curious, we are in the process of booking tours. We are doing all that right now. Like I'm literally, right before we got on this pod, I was having a conversation with my manager about a tour name and all these things, and we have shows booked, and it's crazy, and it's just like blowing my mind that we're almost back into that space. But I mean, like I said, we have to be hopeful, but at the same time careful, because you never know what could happen with this shit. And we've seen it go up and down and up and down and up and down so many times that it's like we don't want to dive too head first in and then drown, you know?
Yeah, and just like this entire last year and a half, you know, we hope for the best, prepare for the worst kind of thing, right? So we don't know what's going to happen in the next few months, but let's stay positive and hopeful, and hopefully you'll be back out on the road sooner than we think. And
I'm just nervous, honestly. Like, I'm stoked to see the fans, and I'm stoked to do the meet and greets and see everybody and do all those things. But I'm just kind of like, I've always been like, and the whole thing about this podcast is we try to be as vulnerable as possible. So I'm just going to be honest for fans that are listening. Like, I want to be physically in better shape, and I only have so much time to do that. I want to be able to, like I said, restructure my set. I want the set to be better than it's ever been. I want to be mentally in the right headspace to be able to travel like that again, just because it's like a huge reset to be able to go back on the road like that and stay on the road like that. But yeah, there's just a lot going into it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, but it's like a happy, excited nervous at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's a really trippy, like, feeling for sure.
Well, and in my opinion, you may not feel it, but I feel like you've had one of the healthiest last year and a half kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you've treated your body, your mind, physical, mental health really well. And I think
I just mean like I've put on COVID weight and shit that I want to get.
I know, but I'm just saying in other terms, you have had a very healthy year and a half.
For sure.
And I think a big thing that helped with that was not traveling and being on tour, because you know you don't eat right, you don't sleep right, there's a lot of partying involved. So I think that's just something that I hope you know you can adjust into when you're on tour again, and keep that up, because your mental health, in my opinion, has been
gotten a lot better,
amazing in like the last year and a half. It's gotten so much better. So I just don't want to see you backtrack by getting back on the road in that busy lifestyle. But
Yeah, exactly.
I have pretty good faith that you won't.
And like you said before too, like when all this COVID stuff happened, as shitty as it's been for the whole world and how much it sucked, like touring wise, it was kind of a blessing because we were on the road so much that it was like we needed that break. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and if it wasn't for, obviously, like we've talked about before, I don't want to get too much into it, but like it's my cellulitis that I had and like all the things that happened that transpired, like without COVID happening, like we would have crashed and burned. We would have done that European tour. Who knows if we would have made it all the way through without being like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that's not that we don't like doing shows and seeing fans. It's just we were literally on the road all year. It's like Canada, USA, Australia, Europe, you know what I mean? Like with very short breaks in between or very short breaks even on the road when it comes to days off and stuff like that. Yeah.
And even with like our relationship and stuff too, like we needed that break to
Totally.
work on some things personally and work on ourselves personally.
Yeah.
And we did, and that became a very positive thing for us. So I think,
For sure.
you know,
Everybody
COVID,
needs a break.
yeah, and I think as much as COVID has been a very shitty fucking thing for everybody, it's also been a very positive thing for us getting a break from that lifestyle
Totally.
and just taking some time to work on ourselves and, you know, just be the healthiest and happiest versions of ourselves again.
And like we were saying before, like when it came to our relationship stuff, like we've opened up about this before. We don't got to do a deep dive on this again, but I'm just saying, like the same way that I realized that us taking that break that we needed before, like obviously we're back together happier than ever now, but I'm saying that when I heard break, instantly my mind was like, oh my God, a break. Like it was this negative thing.
Yeah.
Or separation, like when I'm talking about our relationship, and I'm starting to realize that when I realized when it came to our relationship that there's a lot of positivity there that I just wasn't looking at or paying attention to. It's the same thing with my career.
100%.
You know what I mean? I think like, oh, break, like, oh, I take a break from touring, like, oh, and then what's going to happen? And then like, am I going to be able to tour later, or where am I going to go? And then my natural anxiety goes to a million places. But at the same time, I've learned, not just with touring, I've given myself a break, even just as far as these releases go.
Yeah.
And I needed it. And I realized that like, as much as I enjoy dropping something every week, and as much of what's the word I'm looking for? As much as I promise that to myself and promise that to my fans, I realize that it's okay to drop something every week for 15 weeks straight and then take a month off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And I've noticed, like, I was worried, like, what are the fans going to think if I want to give myself some time to, like, have a reset and take a break? I was worried that people were going to react poorly to that, but you guys were awesome about it, and I've totally been chill with it. And in the meantime, I've never stopped working. I've still been working on really big, important things that I'm excited to share with you guys, but it's nice to know that my fans are rad enough that, like, they also understand that I need a break sometimes.
Yeah,
to just
exactly.
do me. You know what I mean?
I agree. So, you know, it's just something in life that we got to stop and think about from now on is it's okay to take a break from things, whether that's, you know, going out and being super busy and constantly having plans and your schedule full, or from your job, or in your relationship and your personal life. Like, I think that's something that COVID has really taught everybody, is it's okay to stop and put that busy life and busyness on hold and just kind of like be alone with yourself. Figure out, am I happy? Do I need to like rest and relax and recharge? Because you keep pouring from a cup. Well, as soon as that cup's empty, you can't keep pouring from it. So that means you can't keep working your ass off, being there for your family, your significant other, your friends, you know, just all the things. Like,
and it's crazy how like the whole world had to be forced into a reset for us all to realize that.
I know,
you know what I'm
it
saying?
is.
Like,
It's crazy, but I think in the long run, it is one of the healthiest things that has happened. I mean,
it came out of all this,
yeah, it sounds crazy to say because it happened because of a virus, which is people being unhealthy, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy things are happening behind the scenes for you. Lots of planning and stuff. Same with me. I have a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. Lots of planning,
100%.
Lots of future plans. Yeah, things are pretty crazy.
Things are happening. And like, I know that like the fans here all the time, like, well, I don't even like using the words fans. Like, I'd rather say like listeners or almost like a family because we're all one
Our
big
friends.
community. Our friends, exactly. Hi, friends. But they always hear us say like big things are happening, and sometimes we'll say like big things are happening for months at a time. But it's like there is really a lot of work and dedication that goes behind the scenes to make these things happen for you guys. And we just want you to know that we personally really, really, really appreciate your patience, and it means a lot because this stuff just doesn't happen overnight, and you guys being patient and being awesome means the world to us as well. You know what I'm saying? So,
But just know we're doing lots behind the scenes to be able to follow through with those teasers of lots of things are coming and whatnot. So,
and we're blessed that, speaking of COVID, we've been able to keep you guys distracted from the things that have been happening in this world. You know what I mean? Like, if you look forward every Wednesday to spending an hour or however long the episode is at the time to listening to Chris's podcast, or look forward to every Monday to seeing what my release is when I do have my releases, like, that means the world to us that you're taking that time to pay attention to what we're doing. But we're also blessed to be able to keep you distracted. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I agree. It's a nice feeling to be able to be an outlet in these weird, crazy, hard times, and
it keeps us distracted too. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh,
like us doing these things,
Yeah.
it's not like we're just doing this to keep you distracted. It's also therapeutic to us. You know what I mean?
So thank you guys for letting us do this, for listening to us and supporting us, because this does help a lot. Like, the podcast became a thing during this pandemic. I started working on it during this pandemic and started pushing myself to make it be a real life thing.
And that's the thing, is this was you had plans on doing the pod for a long time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until quarantine and COVID happened that like it really gave you that extra push to say, okay, now I'm going to take that leap.
Yeah, and because I had extra time to do so.
Exactly.
You know,
That's what
we
I'm
weren't
saying.
so busy traveling and everything. So
Yeah.
it's crazy how much of a negative thing COVID felt like at the beginning, but is ending up to be a very positive thing. And yeah, it's just been a crazy last year and a half. A lot of things have happened. A lot of different roads and paths have been taken, but I'm really excited for this summer. I feel like this summer is going to be a really good one. I mean, I don't feel like we're going to be 100% back to normal. Like,
As good as it can be, considering. For
yeah,
sure.
exactly. Like Tommy and I talked in the last episode, you know, still limited on the things we can do, but I think we're very blessed to live where we do, where the weather's so nice. We live very close to different walking areas and beaches and stuff, and it might be a little bit more opened up to have our friends and family from Alberta to come visit. And yeah, like, case numbers have dropped so much that I feel like it's not going to be as, not scary, but as like closed off to at least have some visitors and some socializing with friends and family, even just in our own backyard or in our own neighborhood kind of thing. So I'm excited about that. And the weather is just so beautiful and has been. Like, can't believe June's almost over already. Like,
Yeah, we're literally halfway there. It's like we blinked and here we are.
Yeah, it's so nuts. And
we're almost halfway there, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. And everything's blooming, everything's green. Like, the backyard looks so beautiful. Like, oh my gosh, we just live in this, our backyard, the flowers and the vegetables and the trees and everything. It just looks so beautiful. So really positive and feeling good about it all.
You just channeled your inner hippie there for like a good 10 seconds.
Went on a little tangent.
Flowers and the vegetables.
Sorry, but it's so
the
beautiful.
sunshine and the spirits.
Well, it's so beautiful.
Just giving you a
like,
hard time, babe.
I'm from Alberta. I don't get all this beautiful fucking nature.
I know,
So
I know.
I'm just really, really appreciative for it. So
No, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
But anyways, that's a little catch up.
One thing I
on us.
wanted to say too is, like, as far as things going back to normal, and I mean, we don't know what tour is going to look like, whether you're going to come with me or not necessarily. We're going to figure that out as that time approaches. But I'm really, really curious to see, like, you in a public setting, whether it's at one of my shows or wherever we are, where public is kind of, or the general public starting to go back to normal, and you're going to get to meet your listeners in person too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
that will be really cool.
Yeah, like, for example, I was just outside of a Starbucks on the phone with Carissa one day, and I was walking by. I was running errands with family, and then I was walking by the Starbucks. Just hung up the phone with Carissa, and then this lady that worked there came running out. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, I get to meet one of my fans." And it wasn't one of my fans; it was one of her fans. Like, of course, that's not to say they didn't know who I was and they weren't stoked to meet me, but they were like, "Oh my god! Like, I listen to your girls' podcast all the time. Like, I'm so stoked. Like, I always tune in no matter what." So I'm like, you know what? I got to call Carissa back, and she's got to at least say hi. So we did that, and Carissa was stoked, and she was stoked. I can't remember her name. Shout out to her because I'm sure she's listening.
Yes.
But that was like the first time that like somebody came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, Carissa's podcast! Like, I'm super stoked on it." So I'm excited for her to be able to be in a public setting where that starts happening to her too, because
and you know what
it'll show her hard work's been paying off. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you know what the crazy thing about that girl running out and saying that she loved my podcast, that was the same night that I put out my solo episode talking about the night before I put out my solo episode of talking about my mental health and my struggle and everything. And remember, I was so nervous about it. I'm always nervous about solo episodes as is, but that one I was like super scared about. And so when Cole called me and told me, "Oh my gosh, someone wants to talk to you," and she's telling me how much she loves the podcast and enjoys it and loves me, I was just like, holy shit, like, this is a sign.
Shit.
Yeah, like, this is a sign. And so, yeah, shout out
That's
to you, girl.
That's the universe being like, good for you for being brave and being vulnerable, because look what it's doing for other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So thank you, girl. I appreciate that so much. And
wherever you are.
Yeah, wherever you are. Sorry, your name slipped our mind, but we appreciate you, and you're the best. You sent me a wonderful sign.
She's gonna play this for her friends and be like, "That's me, bitches. That's me."
Oh my gosh. I want to tell one story actually.
How dare you tell a story on your own podcast?
No, I was sorry. That just reminded me of something funny that Tommy told me, and I haven't told you yet. So Tommy and I were talking on the phone a few days ago. And she told me her dad went to work because he works away up north. Okay. So he comes home for a couple weeks, works away for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So he was chatting with some guys at work, and he was saying how, Tommy's birthday's coming up, and then led into that she's coming to BC to see me. And he was like, and Carissa's like my second daughter my third daughter kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
shout out Kennedy.
Yeah, sorry, Kennedy. And then I can't remember how she said, or he said, they got into kind of conversation about you, like you got, saying,
yeah,
coming and seeing me and my significant other, which is you. And then he mentioned, he's an artist. Guy. Yeah, because he watches all your YouTubes.
Yeah.
He does. It's
all
so
the
cute.
YouTubes.
Yeah. And a bunch of guys at his work started freaking out, was like, "What? You know Mercules?" And, do the whole like fan excited thing. And so, of course, Daryl's like, "Yeah." And then one guy was like, "And like Carissa is like your third daughter?" And Daryl was like, yeah, that's my daughter Tommy's like best friend, childhood best friend. And he was like, "Oh my God, my girlfriend is such a fan of hers. That's so crazy that you know Carissa." And so he started freaking out that Daryl knew me, and Daryl was like, I expected over Cole, but hearing someone freak out about Carissa was like really crazy to me.
And that's new to you too.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like I remember, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I remember when I first started like really gaining a fan base, like me being like, what? Like they're tripping over little old me, you know what I mean? And that's something that you're going to have to like adapt to and get used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was really cute. So Daryl was like pretty excited
to share that with you.
Yeah. So sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. Shout out to you, Daryl.
Yeah. You're the best.
I also, off topic, but I also just realized that it's almost Tupac's, or would have been Tupac's 50th birthday, which is absolutely crazy to think about.
Oh, that is crazy.
Like he would have been 50 in a couple days.
Wow.
Like that's
so
crazy to me. Like
that's so nuts.
I don't think I've mentioned it on here before, even really anywhere. I talk about the first CD I owned, but I used to have Tupac's All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World on tape. There was like a double-sided tape that I had.
On cassette.
And we used to listen to it in my dad's car when we'd go pick up my mom, because my mom had that big commute from Vancouver. So we would go and pick her up at the SkyTrain or whatever, and I would listen to it front to back every day. To the point where like I would catch my dad singing along to it because I just played it around him so much. But that's just so crazy to think that he would have been 50. Obviously, Tupac has had a huge impact on really anybody. I don't even want to just say in rap, like in music in general. I mean, just the things that he managed to do in such a short amount of time at such a young age was incredible. But Yeah, it's just pretty crazy to think that it's been that long since he passed away, and then he'd be 50 years old. Like,
yeah, so nuts. Well, happy birthday and rest in peace.
Happy birthday, legends never die, R.I.P.
Exactly.
100%. But yeah, I just thought that was a cool little piece of
Yeah,
information
well, fun
to
fact.
share.
Yeah, I wasn't actually sure. You'd mentioned it earlier, but I know Biggie's birthday and
That was last month, I believe.
in March.
Was it March? I don't know.
Shit, maybe I'm wrong. Now I'm second guessing myself.
I got him tattooed on my leg, and I don't even know his birthday. But
Well,
no.
rest in peace to both
Rest
legends.
in peace to them both, for sure. 100% pioneers in music in general, and definitely a big reason why I do what I do. And yeah, that just having those tapes back in the day, and obviously discovering Biggie as well, was a huge driving force for me to pick up the pen and start doing my own music and stuff. So yeah, just a cool little piece of information I thought I'd share. So
Well,
happy early birthday.
Yeah, we share the same birthday month, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah. So
Would that
yeah.
mean that he's the same sign as you, or is that too far apart?
No, I don't think he'd be the same sign as me because I'm pretty sure Cancer starts on June 20th.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
And
I
then
can't
what would be
remember for
before, do you
sure.
know? We don't
no.
got to do the Googles. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm the worst. I gotta.
This is
still
going to be
look
the
it up.
one where they flail part 2.
Oh my gosh! Right.
But no, I'm excited to have Hat and Tommy come down here and hang out. And Chris is holding my hand right now because I keep on making noise with the blankets while we sit here in bed, and it frustrates
Smashing
her.
the duvet, and it's gonna be
And
like.
it's affecting her
your
ABCD
guys'
OCD right now.
Well, because it's gonna be in the ear, and that's annoying. Stop it, Cole! Oh my god! He's the worst.
Sometimes I just do things to spite you, but I
Yeah,
love
I
you.
know. Believe me, I know.
Oh, you've noticed,
Oh yeah, I've noticed. It's only been almost 7 years.
which is so insane.
I know.
And in a few short months, it's literally going to be 7 years.
I was talking about this with Tommy actually, because I'm always just talking to Tommy about everything. How fast, especially the last 3 years has flown by.
Yeah.
So the next 3 years will
Even
fucking fly
quicker.
by, and then we have been together for a decade.
That's insane.
10 years.
That's so crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That means that, not to mention, we're almost 30, not to, air
Yeah.
us out like that, but,
I know,
to really
unfortunately.
think about those two facts,
I
it's,
know.
side by side,
I
that's
know.
crazy.
When we're 32, we've been together for 10 years.
That's so crazy. I know. We've spent, almost all of our 20s together.
I know.
so-
It's really crazy.
There's nobody else I want to spend it with, but it's just crazy to think that it's been that long.
I know. I agree. Cutie.
Speaking of Tommy, she told me, by the way, that the other day, and usually I wouldn't air
What?
myself out like this, but I have no problem doing so because this is a vulnerable podcast where we
my
do
gosh.
this.
Don't make fun of it.
No, I'm not making fun of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that she told me that you told her
Yeah.
that I thought the sun and the moon were the same thing. And I'm going to air myself out now, Chris. How long ago was that? A year ago when we talked about that? Longer.
Babe.
Oh, that was
when we talked about the sun and the moon.
That was 3-4 years ago. Never
Babe,
mind.
that was 5 years ago. That was at Courtney's graduation. We were at Slave Lake.
That's where your memory blows my mind. I
Yeah,
thought it was
babe.
way more recent. Anyway,
Your whole family was there, and they looked at you and looked at me, and I
Oh,
was
yeah,
like,
that's right.
"Babe,
That's right. That's
Because your
how I got
Uncle
brought
Jim
up.
was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
anyway, my dumbass thought that the sun and the moon were the same thing, and that at a certain time of night they just change color. And I was quickly informed that that's not the case.
Yeah,
And
no. He was looking up at the sky and he seen the moon coming out because it was just a couple hours before sunset. So the moon kind of pops out. So he sees it and he's like, "Whoa, babe, look at the sun." And I was like, "Babe, that's not the sun, that's the moon." And he was like,
yeah,
"What?"
but it just changes.
No, you were like, "What? They're not the same thing?" And I said, "Babe, turn around. The sun's behind you." And then, yeah. So, anyways, it was a cute little moment.
It was a teaching moment. for
Yeah,
me.
it was cute. And it was really funny because, I just told Tommy that. And I actually just told my mom and sister that.
Oh God, I can only imagine
Bree-
Michelle and Bree's reaction to that.
Bree said that we should have an episode and talk where we just talk about the things that I've taught you like, throughout our relationship. Because, like, I'm not trying to sound rude. Cole is a very intelligent man. He's a very smart guy. But
you also have to take into account the fact that I was a dropout. You dropped out of
school at fucking in grade 7.
No, I did a little bit of grade 8 and then I didn't make it through.
Yeah, but barely. Let's be real. How much of grade 8
And I also want to address that. Apparently, for some
week?
reason, I thought that I dropped out in grade 10 because my memory's terrible when it comes to shit like
your
that.
dad.
I have a song where I'm like, I dropped out in grade 10 on special occasion, and my dad's like, no, you didn't.
No.
You dropped out in grade 8, buddy. What the fuck are you talking about?
And I think dropped out in grade 8 is probably very much of a stretch, because I think he went to the first week of grade 8 and that was it.
No, because I got expelled from different high schools, remember?
No, I know. I'm being a brat.
I just didn't get, like...
Because you skipped so much. So really,
No, I just mean like I didn't get past the first week's worth of homework. But I was there for longer than a week, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's funny, and Bree would say that. That's hilarious. Bree, I love you. But
it was good. It was
she
funny.
gets an extra kick out of those kind of things.
Oh yeah, she does, because I talked to her about the months thing and stuff, and
I just was able to
giggling.
say my months like what, a couple years ago.
Yeah, I had to teach Cole
Like, it's bad.
how the months go. But again, it's not like it's bad.
January,
It's just,
February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Let's
good
talk
job.
about it. We out
Good
here.
job. Yeah, see, he kills it now.
She just gave me that little pity pat on the back that you guys didn't see.
I'm being for real. I'll be like, babe, what's the month? And he'll
No, but it's funny because
sing them out to
when
me,
I
and
tell
I'm like,
people
fuck yeah.
when I tell people stuff like that, whether it's the sun and the moon thing or the months or whatever, like people are like, "You're trolling me, like you're not actually being
Yeah.
serious." I'm like, "No, for real, guys." And then they're like, "How are you so good at like what you do musically, but
Like
you don't know?"
vocabulary.
And
Like
yeah,
your vocabulary is incredible.
but like I was never taught it. I just taught myself it.
Yeah.
Like I took it upon myself to learn
Yeah.
the vocabulary because that was something I was actually genuinely interested in.
Yeah. And
know what I
it's
mean?
like, it's silly things that like you
Yeah,
don't
for sure.
sometimes don't know or whatever. It's not like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's
I
funny.
still have like I'm good at like life skills and social
Oh yeah.
cues.
Oh, for sure.
But like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways where I just
You
didn't
have-
grow up like everybody else because I wasn't there growing up while everybody else was. I was out doing dumb shit.
Well, and I just feel like as a kid, you only grasped the information you wanted to.
100%.
So even just like learning the months, you were probably like, why the fuck do I need to know the
And I think
months? I'll
we've-
just check a phone or I'll just
Exactly.
check a calendar, right? Like
That's why I think it's August all year long, or is it February?
August was your favorite month
Yeah.
for a couple of years.
But no, but that's like goes back. I think we've talked about this on the pod before, but that's why like I genuinely believe like the school system needs like a drastic change. Where I know it's hard to educate each child in a certain way, but I'm a firm believer that you can't just take millions of children, throw them into a school system and teach them all the same way. It just doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. Everybody's different. Everybody's brain works differently.
Yeah.
And that was a big driving force as to why I left, like dropped out. And not to say that it wasn't because I was being a dumbass kid and like doing things I shouldn't be doing, but at the same time, like I wasn't drawn to it because the way that it was put together just wasn't for
Delivered.
me. Like the way,
Yeah.
delivered exactly. Like the
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I was the same way. Like, I graduated, but just by a dash. Like,
yeah, like most kids don't like school. There is kids that love going to school,
Mm-hmm.
and all the power to them. But I'm saying like. It wasn't just like, oh, I don't want to go to school because I'm a rebel badass. It was like, it just genuine. Well, there was some of that for sure. But honestly, babe, like a lot of it was like, this just isn't like,
I know.
I'm just like not wired the same way as everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of that. So what's the point of sitting
just
here
learn-
wasting my time,
You
right?
just learn differently. And I was the same way when I took classes online. Certain classes, some I even did online and I fucking hated it and was annoyed, but just had to do it to get the credits. But yeah, I found like as I became an adult, like I definitely have test anxiety, and if I'm interested in something, you better fucking believe that I will
Getting that
research,
A.
learn,
Yeah.
and everything, right? But that was the same thing with me. Like math, I could have given 2 fucks about. Science, didn't really care about science until I was an adult, and I kind of thought, science is really cool.
No,
But when
it's
I was
interesting.
younger, I didn't really care.
Couldn't be
Social,
bothered,
social and English, I fucking loved, and I did well in it. It showed in my grades the subjects that I actually enjoyed and was interested in learning,
sure.
and the ones I didn't care about. So very similar, right? But
And I've learned more about all those things by just traveling the world and being out there. I know not everybody has the means to do that, obviously.
Exactly. And kids stay in school. Like,
yeah, we're not saying to
drop out because you can't learn properly. But
we're just pointing out the things that we think are wrong with the school system.
Yeah, but also if there is children or even parents out there that are having a hard time with, you know, maybe your child is just not getting it, or you're confused, why are they not wanting to go to school or caring, like, everybody learns differently. So just like communicate with your child, ask them. Because unfortunately, because I had young parents, my parents didn't really understand, even I didn't myself, my test anxiety, and that I got anxious about certain subjects and just learnt differently, you know? So
for sure,
my parents didn't really know how to help me. So like, just try and communicate with your kids. Like, if you see they're not doing well in school,
instead of if you feel like they're not teaching, sorry, not to cut you off, but if you feel like they're not teaching your child properly in school, then try to take it upon yourself when you have the free time to teach them the way you think they need to be taught at home.
Not only that, because it's hard for a parent to be a teacher. I mean, COVID has taught a lot of parents that, you know, it's not easy being a teacher.
For sure.
But if you communicate with your child, like, hey, I see you're not doing well in this grade, instead of getting mad at them and saying, you know, you need to do better, you need to do better. If you don't do well, you're not getting this, you're not getting that. Like, that only makes your child feel scared to be honest with you and bring home that report card or communicate with you. If you just kind of open up,
shut off more.
Yeah, if you just kind of open up that door and just say like, hey, what's going on? Like, what aren't you understanding? Is there something we could do? Can I help you? Can we talk to your teacher? Can we try and figure this out together? And, you know, I know teenagers and kids can be stubborn, but just having that open line of communication and showing your child that it's not a punishment, it's not bad that they're not doing well in school, like, it's not a bad thing, it's you want to just be there and help them, that will really help too.
They'll be more honest with you, they'll confide in you more, they'll feel like they can talk to you about what's bothering them. And yeah, no, I totally agree.
And I'm not trying to come at you guys like I'm a parent and I know it all, because I'm not. I'm just coming at you as a child who didn't know how to communicate it properly, who didn't know how to tell my parents why I wasn't understanding math, why I wasn't understanding science. But as an adult, I've now learned why I was having a hard time.
Yeah, you're not coming from a parental standpoint.
No.
You're just saying that you were one of those kids, and so was I. You know what I mean? So it's okay to talk about later in life and just say, hey, from our perspective, being kids that were those kids, you know what I mean? And not to like talk too much about this, but I just find it so crazy that like so much has changed in this world, and the school system and way of teaching has stayed the same for so long.
It's just because they don't it's still older generations writing these textbooks, writing this school system, and
80% of what I did learn in school I don't use in my everyday life today.
Exactly. And
not that I graduated or finished school.
Yeah, but I can also apply to that. I agree. I feel the exact same way. And to be honest, I knew it as a fucking teenager. I knew there was a lot of things that I was like, I'm not going to fucking use this in my everyday life. Like,
and I don't even remember it. Like, times tables, miss me with that shit. I don't remember that shit. You know what I mean?
Multiplication.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm saying I was really good at it. Like, that was something that I shined in. You know what I mean? Like, I was doing grade 11 math in grade 7. They told me apparently.
Right.
But I don't remember half the stuff that I was good at, because I mean, like, obviously in a financial standpoint, I have to remember certain math things, but like a lot of the stuff they taught me, it's like, I don't apply that to my everyday life.
About long division.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? I think they should be teaching kids about things like, okay, when you're like finance and things like that involve like your actual well-being in your life, not just...
like the good thing is like work experience and stuff like that. Like I loved work experience because, well, I already had a job. So when I did work experience in school, it was very easy to me because I already knew what having a job was like. But, you know, like simple things like that, or like having classes talking about like rent and budgeting your money and doing your taxes. Like,
so important.
I mean, obviously you're not going to tell a teenager how to do taxes, but kind of like
prepare them for it in a way.
Education on it. And yeah, exactly. Like there is a bunch of different kind of life skills you could be teaching in school, but I mean, here we are rambling on a podcast about it. I doubt there's anybody
there
out
was
there.
There was no conversation before we hit record about going on a whole rant about school. This is just us winging it.
Yeah.
But I think they're all very good points, though. You know what I mean?
Agree, and I think a lot of people will relate and resonate with what we're talking about.
Because we have friends and family that are literally going through these problems right now with their kids and not understanding why they can't adapt to the school system, or they can't adapt to the way that things are the way other kids can. And like, I think it's a really important conversation to have. And like you said, I think you nailed it. Like, as far as just having that open line of communication, because traditionally for the longest time, it's like, get good grades and then you can do this and we'll do this in the summer, or you can, you know what I mean? You get your allowance and like things like that. It's like, I think that that's just such a loose way of thinking nowadays, because every kid is so different. It's like telling a kid that they can't have something unless they adapt to something they can't adapt to is just so unfair.
It is.
And it's like,
and setting them up
no
for
shade
failure.
to the parents. Like I said, we're not parents, so we don't know, but I'm just saying it sets, like you said, it sets them up for failure. And a lot of the times it just makes them rebel even worse, because it's like, okay, well, if I can't have this open line of communication with my parents or whatever, then all that's going to do is make them want to rebel.
Yeah, like I used to hide my report cards from my parents because I was so scared to show them that I was doing bad in a couple classes.
Yeah.
Like I was terrified. And so then I'd go to the point of making my sister hide her report cards, because I was like, Mom and Dad can't know that we got our report cards because they're going to see I did bad and whatever.
And if they know
right?
you got yours, they're going to wonder where the hell mine is.
Exactly. Like, so that was kind of the anxiety I had, and no shade to my parents. Again, they were young. They didn't really understand how to help me with struggling with grades and stuff, you know?
Still, like, your parents were strict to you in ways that I wish my parents were strict to me. And not to say that my parents didn't do a good job raising me. I love them, obviously. Yeah. But I'm saying, looking at it now later on in life, there's things that they applied to you in your younger life in a stricter way that you've carried on like later on in your life. Yeah. There's ways that I wish I would have carried those things along too. But I was just more of a shithead in general. Like, there was no telling me anything, because I would have just ran the fuck away and been an idiot.
Exactly. I would have ran up that tree. But it is very true. My parents did, even though they couldn't help me, or I shouldn't say couldn't help me, but had a hard time helping me with like the school stuff, they helped teach me a lot of life lessons that I do hold close to my heart and continue to use in my adult life. And I'm so grateful for it, because...
And I'm learning those things from you now, and I'm almost 30 years old. So it's like...
and that's fine. And that just goes to show too, with also kids who maybe do well in school, once they get out of school, they should be getting that education before and preparation before they leave high school about what being an adult is about, because I think a lot of young adults these days don't understand the responsibility of being an adult and after high school life kind of thing, right? Like, there's a lot of things that I think young or older teens, young adults don't realize when you move out on your own, cleaning up after yourself, paying your bills, budgeting your money, and just like all those kinds of responsibilities. You know what I mean? Like,
and not everybody's blessed like we are in like certain ways too, like financially and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
But I mean, personally wasn't when I moved out on my own right at 18, right? I had to learn. And I knew, like, you know, my parents explained to me, like, you know, when you move out and rent and everything, like, you have to budget. And that's why I became a server as soon as I could, because I knew those tips and that paycheck would be making me some good money so I could get my own place. And exactly.
Shut up,
like,
Marilyn. I said bread and butter.
Auntie Marilyn.
But also, too, like, one thing that I also firmly believe, like, something that I have to thank my parents for, is the fact they believed in my hobby. I think believing in your child's hobby is so important. Like, I know a lot of parents are so textbook, where it's like, you're going to get out of school and you're going to graduate, then you're going to get a 9 to 5 and you're going to do this and do that. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the times, even if you believe in your child's hobby, they're still going to have to get that 9 to 5. But
of course,
my parents always believed in my hobby when it came to me making music. Obviously, rap might not have been their first choice, but then they learned to love it over time. But like, my parents believed in me even when I didn't fully believe in myself. And I've said this so many times, but it's so important that you believe in your child's hobby. If you see something that they're doing in their free time and they're passionate about it, you need to get behind it and support that and gas it up and tell them that they're doing great, because I promise you, in the long run, that's going to help them so much. And that's how, and like, certain kids become like star athletes. If it's like something that like if they like playing basketball in their free time, tell them that they're doing great at it, and if they're really passionate about it, they're going to become great at it because they heard it from you. You know what I mean?
Support them.
That's what happened to me
them.
with music, and that's how we get the best musicians and the best athletes and the best whatever the hobby may be. It could be literally anything. Artists, like just in general. You know what I mean?
Photographers, doctors,
like literally whatever their hobby is,
even, like,
whatever their hobby is outside of class that they're not being told to do, that you see they're deciding to do, get behind it now, because I promise you that's what they want to do, and what they want to do is what they're gonna become incredible at. You know what I'm saying?
One thing I think is kind of a negative in those situations is, like, I don't know if you know, but I grew up at the hockey arena and stuff. So seeing the parents that were so like, pushing their kid to be the best hockey player, and you got to be here, you got to do this training class, that.
What if little Timmy doesn't want to fucking play hockey?
Or what if, they do want to play hockey, but
they want to do it on their own time.
Or they just want to have fun with it. Like, that's one thing is I feel really bad for children where parents make these crazy expectations for them, like, oh yeah, see, my kid's the captain, so they're going to be in the NHL one day, so they got to be in all the programs, all the camps, all the things,
and they think that their kid's competing with the kid down the street, like,
and so that can kind of get a little toxic. So as much as, yes, believing in them, motivating them, supporting them, but don't become crazy and overwhelming with it on them, because then that takes away the fun.
And don't force your passion to be their passion either.
Yeah, and that takes away the love of it. Like, can you imagine if, I know your parents would have never done this, but if your parents would have been like, you have to be the best rapper. If this is what you're doing, you need to rap and learn your words.
It just sounds funny because out of all the things that parents like do force their kids to be great at, rap is like never.
I know, that's why I said like.
But I know what you mean though, like just like as a loose comparison, for sure, 100%.
It might have taken it away from you. You might have been like, no, now I'm over it. Now it becomes a job. Now you're annoying me about it.
And I said that even with my career today, like if I feel like I absolutely have to like meet a deadline when it comes to like making a song or making an album. Like, there's been times where I've had to do that, I'm not gonna lie, but it does start to feel like a job, and then I lose interest. You know what I mean? Like, the second that my passion starts to feel like a job that's being forced on me, I'm not gonna love it as much. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm blessed in the position that I am now to be able to move at my own pace. But you're totally right when it comes to any hobby, any passion, no matter what it is. If you got some guy in your ear breathing down your neck talking about, you need to be the best, and you need to do this, and you need to be better than this person, it's just like, fuck off. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm going to do what I want to do, what I love. I'm going to move at my own pace, and if that's not okay with you, then
and
basically go fuck yourself.
Well, not really, but I understand that everything takes dedication, whether it's a sport, an art, whatever, it takes dedication. So I do understand that to an extent, but you also...
But dedicating yourself to something based on the opinion of somebody else is never going to work. If you're dedicating yourself to something because you want to dedicate yourself to it, it's always going to work. That's the difference.
Exactly. 100%. Couldn't have said it better myself.
100%. I feel like we pretty much covered all the things. We talked about our updates. We went on like a little inspirational rant. I think it was good though, and I think that a lot of parents, especially, can hear that. We're just helping all the parents lately.
Man, I hope so.
And we're not parents.
Parents, so again, please
don't. But then again,
I
think that episode with your mom is so important, and she is a parent, and I think that one was really, really important, and I was really happy to see all the feedback on that one for sure.
Yeah, it was really good. Can't wait to do another one with my mom. One of my goals is to have one with me, my mom, and sister, because I think it'll trip everybody out how similar we are, how much we sound alike.
I was going to say, like, there's times where you'll say something, like, it could just be 2 words, but you say it in a tone, and then you make this certain, like, mannerism or face when you say it, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I'm talking to your mom right now. And I've seen the same thing with Brie. Like, even that picture that I sent you the other day. Of
my grandma.
Your grandma young, and how much your mom looked like her. I'm like, what? Like, how?
I know.
Like, it literally looked like somebody just took a picture of your mom with a vintage camera.
I know.
Like, that's all. I was like mind blown by it. And also the same thing when it comes to just like you guys being little babies, and like Brie also looking like her, you having the same traits. Also a lot, like I see a lot of your dad in you when you were little and stuff like that. Like, it's really crazy.
Yeah, I have a lot of Belle. I'm pretty like 50-50 Vandale and Belle.
For sure, totally.
Yeah, Brie has a lot more Vandale in her, and a lot of Belle as well. But she has a little bit more Vandale than I do.
Yeah.
The darker hair, darker complexion, features, all that. Like, But yeah, we have very, very
I'm
similar
excited for
features,
that episode,
personalities, and yeah, so I think it'll be really fun to have the three of us on here. I'd like to have an episode of me and Bree on here. I'm thinking hopefully in August, that's when my mom's wedding is. So I'm hoping to get a couple in-person recordings done with them. And yeah, so that's kind of some future
So there's some
plans,
things that you
but-
can look forward to in the future.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, maybe we should wrap it up because we
Okay.
did go on some good little
Tangents.
tangents and updates here.
Jakes, you owe me a Pepsi.
Hey, you stop it. And
But no,
we
thank you
will-
for having me back on, babe. I appreciate it. And I,
Of course.
like I said, I'm always blessed to be on here. Super proud of you and everything you're doing with the pod. Can't wait for, like I said, you to be able to announce all the things that are in the works and
Yeah.
be out in the real world and be able to meet your listeners and all the things that we
Yeah.
talked about. But yeah, no, it's blessed to be back on, and I love you guys. And like I said, when it comes to my releases, thank you for being patient. Big things on the way. And yeah.
Well, I love you. Thank you for coming on and hanging out and chatting with me today.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll keep you guys posted on, this little baby peach we have here and what's going on in our life. But thank you guys for listening. I will chat with you guys soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive. Bye.
Something classic, something special.